Good afternoon, and welcome to the first edition of Burg Sports Game Day. I'm going to be Gavin Race, joined here with
David Brown.
So first week of the Pirate season opens up tonight against Ironton. They will be facing a heck of a challenge considering Ironton is coming off back-to-back state championship appearances. But Wheelersburg's going to be there to put up a fight. So David, tell us a little bit about Wheelersburg coming into this game.
Wheelersburg's coming off an 8-2 season last year with the shortened season with COVID and everything. And that, I don't feel like that slowed them down, but I feel like that did present a challenge that they were able to overcome, which shows their endurance and their capabilities. They came second in the SOC with teams like Chillicothe, Medford, Oak Hill Valley, and West twice. They've only lost to Waverly by 1 in an overtime thriller, which that was a pretty good game, not gonna lie. Some notable players we have number 26 Carson Williams.
And let's go a little bit about each player. Carson, he's a running back. He's also a standout linebacker for Wheelersburg. He puts in a lot of work in the weight room in the offseason. He's named one of the captains, which you'll hear a little bit later when we talk to Coach Woodward. And a couple of the other guys who are seniors who we like to point out, Carson Williams, Eli Swords, Josh Clark.
Josh Clark had a heck of a season last year.
Yes, and Drew Holsinger. Those are the 4 captains that have been named this year, and they've had an outstanding offseason getting ready for this season. And they're guys that going into a game like this against Ironton are going to be huge for Wheelersburg because Josh is going to be controlling the game on the outside, whether it's with the receivers or with the secondary. Carson is going to be a huge piece to that backfield alongside Derek Ladmer and Eli Swords and Ethan Glover. And he's also one of the best, if not the best linebacker we have, being all over the field, heavy hitter. Eli Swords coming off a bit of a nagging injury in the backfield. He's going to be a huge piece for us. He's played back there since his sophomore year, and he also rotates in the secondary as well. And Drew Holsinger, he's the captain of the offensive and defensive line. Expect him to kind of control the game down in the trenches.
Right, yeah. As we go deeper into players, you got to talk about Eric Latimer.
Yes, Eric.
Especially with his scrimmage against Racelyn last week.
Eric Ladmer, 3 touchdowns on 4 touches against Racelyn. He was absolutely incredible, and this is his time to break out. He is someone that everyone's been ready to see, and obviously his brother as well, Derek Ladmer. Those two have been electric every time they get the ball. So quick and agile with the ball.
And with Eric on the outside and Derek on the inside, there's no stopping it.
Yeah, they're able to do so much with the ball whenever they are in space, or even Derek, whenever he's kind of congested, he's able to power through and use his strength. Something that did happen last week, Caleb Arthur did go down with an injury, and it's going to keep him sidelined for this season, which is a huge blow to Wheelersburg, as he was looking to have a huge season himself.
Right, that tight end position, he was willing to do some damage.
Yeah, he was also a great outside linebacker, so he'll be someone who's sorely missed, but they'll be facing off against Ironton, and like we said, they went 11-1 last year, just another state final appearance, and the only loss they had was in that state final to Kirkland, and it wasn't pretty that game, but still, they powered through, beating teams like Roger Bacon, Ridgewood, who knocked Wheelersburg out of the playoffs,
right.
Frederickstown, and even a Division I regular season win, whenever they picked up a game whenever they lost a conference opponent. So going into tonight, someone that is going to be huge to watch for them is Ashton Duncan. And he's great on that end for them, and I believe he's also a running back as well. But he's someone that Wheelersburg's got to be able to contain.
And as a senior, he's got experience too.
Yeah. And another guy that we got a little taste of him whenever he was at Valley last year. Now he's at Ironton, Ty Perkins. And talk a little bit about what we saw last year from Ty whenever we played against him at Valley.
Whenever he was open, he was just a threat anywhere he'd be because he was quick and he was tall, so he could just get the ball anywhere. The only person that I would compare him to that I remember as Tanner Holden, because he was just so tall and so commanding when he got the ball.
Yeah, and it's going to be someone that Wheelersburg has to worry about going into tonight's game. And the returning player that a lot of people are talking about at Ironton is Nate Cochran. Huge presence on that defensive line, and this is going to really be the test for Wheelersburg's offensive line. Only one or two returning guys that really got minutes last year with Drew Holsinger and Caleb Miller. It's going to be a really important test to see how well they do going up against a force like Nate Cochran.
And there's a reason we call it the trenches too.
Yeah,
it's a all-out war down there.
It's going to be a war tonight, and obviously historic rivalry between these two teams.
Burg's got 13 wins. Ironton has 18. So
yeah, coming off like the last two times they've met, it went Wheelersburg's way 30-6 last time, or it went Ironton's way 30-6 last time. Then 2 years, the meeting before that, Wheelersburg came away with the win 28-6. So they split the last two meetings, didn't get a chance for that trilogy to decide all last year. So obviously going in tonight, you ask a lot of people, it seems like coming off their state championship appearance, Ironton is a heavy favorite, but it's not a game that you can count Wheelersburg out because rivalry games are very hard to predict.
Exactly. You talk about all these rivalry games, the adrenaline just gets in people's heads, and all of a sudden they have that energy and that team building that they've practiced, and now it comes out in the games and they can completely flip the score.
That's going to wrap up our game preview here. Stick with us as we're going to go ahead and transition over to earlier when I met with Coach Woodward. He's going to talk a little about what this season means to them and how important it's going to be for them to come out and get a huge win tonight. Okay, I'll go get eaten.
Okay.
Pull up a third chair. We're here with Coach Woodward here on game day. Coach, I appreciate you coming and meeting with us. It's obviously a hectic day going against Ironton. Appreciate you taking some time out and come to talk with us.
No problem. It's an exciting day and love to talk football.
So obviously last year, game was supposed to be here, didn't happen due to the shortened season. Do you think that's kind of built up this tension between this senior and junior class, that year off, not being able to play them?
Well, the word that I've used for all the news outlets that I've spoke to is hungry. Our guys are hungry. They're extremely hungry. Coming off of the 2019 game, the battle that it was, kind of fell apart there at the end of that and left a taste where our guys were wanting more, wanting another shot. Didn't get a chance last year to play, obviously. We worked towards the playoffs and just come up short of getting a chance maybe to meet as two teams in the playoffs. But our guys are hungry for the season to get started, regardless of the opponent. They just take a game week by week and are ready to go out and play the game of football. And that's where we're at with this. We love the fact that it's against a good quality opponent. We love the fact that it's week one, it's a kickoff to the season. Be a great atmosphere, and we're just excited to go.
Now, obviously, the general climate of this summer, it's not been very kind to our community. COVID's really picked up recently, and we've had issues with it across the district, across multiple teams. Obviously, you guys had your little hiccup with it. How has your team been able to rebound from that to prepare for this game?
Well, we talk about all the time, adversity is going to happen. Adversity is going to happen in life, adversity is going to happen in football, and we've got to be able to navigate through those waters. We've got to be able to navigate through those times. I told them tough times don't last, tough teams do, and we've got to develop that toughness throughout. And there's a lot of things that are out of our control. We've got to really hone in and focus on what are the things we can control, what are the things that we can make sure that we're doing as a team, whether it be health safety, whether it be conditioning, workouts, knowledge of the game prep, all those things we got to control and make sure that we're pouring everything into it that we can. And then those outside factors, we've just got to be able to, again, once they present themselves, we got to be able to navigate through it.
Now let's get a little more in depth with a couple guys you have coming back. First guy I have down, Josh Clark, coming off a shortened season. He was one of the best corners in all of the SOC. 5 interceptions, multiple pass deflections, pass breakups. He was always all over the field. Completely would shut down one side of the field whenever he's out there. How important is he going to be, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but on the offensive side of the ball as that number 1 wide receiver on the outside?
Well, Josh is voted a team captain for a reason. He's a guy that brings a lot of leadership and a lot of motivation, work ethic to the program. We saw that last year in terms of his numbers, what he was able to present. But you're right, both sides of the ball are a key factor that he'll be involved in, that he'll be a part of. Defensively, really rose to the challenge last year in our needs, but he's going to step up big this year as a receiver. Had a big catch in the Racelyn scrimmage that was thrown up to him, went up and made a play. So he's a guy that can go up and make plays, and that's what we've got to have. And we've got a number of guys that can do that, but Josh is definitely one of them. And he's doing a good job of bringing those younger guys up with him.
Now, you brought up the Racelyn scrimmage, and someone who obviously stood out ahead of everyone was Eric Ladmer. He had played incredible, 4 touches on the ball, 3 touchdowns. How important is his role going to be in that slot receiver spot where he's able to make plays?
Well, I knew this is going to be really a breakout year, if you will, for Eric. Last year, he was just growing and developing, and we were utilizing him as best we could, where we could, just knowledge of the game. But this year, coming in as a junior, he's really worked on his strength and focus on where he can maximize his talents, where we can maximize his talents. And he's just given us everything he has all the time. And as you mentioned, he had a great scrimmage. He did a great job there. We knew that he was going to be electric, and I think you're just going to continue to see that throughout the season.
Now, another point I want to bring up is how deep the running back room is for you guys, with guys like Carson Williams, Derek Latimer, Ethan Glover, Eli Swords. You have so many options you can throw out there. How important is that to kind of keep the defense guessing?
Well, we want to stay fresh all the time. We've always been a team that disperses the ball to different weapons and puts a lot of threats out on the field. We want to continue to do that. We want to not be too one-dimensional in terms of, when I say one-dimensional, like a certain player that's always getting the ball or in certain situations. But so we got a lot of guys that can really run the ball up in there hard. All 4 of those guys that you named, with Josh and Eric out on the perimeters, Casey Dorr, another receiver out there that really helps to stretch the field. All of those aspects are going to be something that we utilize offensively and be great.
Now, there's been a lot of questions this offseason from people asking how is the offensive line going to hold up, because obviously last year a lot of seniors on the offensive line, a lot of seniors on the defensive side of the ball as well. Who are some guys that you think are going to really step up and surprise some people down there in the trenches?
Well, a senior for us that's, again, selected a team captain, Drew Holsinger, is man in the center position, and he's really just taking ownership of that offensive line and really pushing those guys. Caleb Miller, who's a guy that we worked in situationals last year, has clicked. It has really clicked with him, and he has grown and developed. He had a great offseason in terms of strength and conditioning, and he's a guy at the left guard position that's going to be a real asset to us. And then Joden Blackburn on the other side, another big stout presence for us at the guard position. And then the tackles, we've had a number of guys working in there. Brody Scott and Gabe Welch are 2 guys that we are looking at fulfilling some of those starting roles, and then Cole Estep and Xavier Stanley stepping in to back those guys up and really work some different packages, because all of them are guys that we can use and are still just, they're all just gaining more mental reps, mental confidence, if you will, in terms of exactly what's required in a given situation. But they're all 4 big bodies that we can utilize and will help to keep us fresh there on that offensive line. So, a number of guys that we can work through. Nate May and Cole Ray's two other ones at guard position and center that will work in and again provide us a little more depth there and help us keep guys fresh. Some of those names that I mentioned will be over on the defensive side of the ball. Drew Holtzinger, Joden Blackburn, both repping on the defensive line. Gabe Welch, another one that's repping on that defensive line, as well as Nate May. And then some of those other guys that we've mentioned, maybe in the backfield that bring us a presence that we can utilize at different times. So just trying to keep guys fresh and keep a lot of bodies and utilization of those guys so that we can be as fast as we can be on defense.
I was down there on the sideline with you guys during the Racelyn game, and just a couple plays I can remember whenever Eric broke free on that right side after shedding a couple defenders, that sideline lit up. When Josh Boggs got his first rep in the game and got that sack, it seemed like everyone was just happy for him to get his time in there. Whenever Derek Ladmer got a breakthrough on that sideline and put in the first touchdown of the game, it just seems like that togetherness on the sideline is better than it's been the last couple of years. And how much do you think that's going to add?
The energy has been great, and we're always pumping and pushing energy in practice. But as you mentioned, we had a little pause there in the break in action, and that really had everyone fearful, I think, of what lies ahead. What are we going to be able to do? So for us to get out there on that Friday night and have some success with the limited amount of time that we had was just huge for our kids. Just going out and having fun. And they really do a great job of having fun together. I mentioned two of the captains, Carson Williams and Eli Swords are another two captains. But our whole senior class has really embodied bringing energy and fun atmosphere with these young guys that we have in this sophomore and junior class. But those guys are just ready to work, and they're ready to be guys that we can count on. And they're all having fun at practice, scrimmage, leading into this season.
So something a little different that's happening this season is the season's moved up a week, which means you guys are opening your season before a lot of the other teams here at Burg. How has that kind of played into the fact that everyone is coming out to this game, everyone's ready to see Wheelersburg open their sports season with football?
Well, usually we're that game that kind of starts the week of school, or as you mentioned, a week ahead of things. It's great. It's great. Everybody rallies around. Wheelersburg is a community that loves their sports programs. I've got guys that are going and supporting the volleyball teams, the soccer teams. Everybody's supporting one another. Everybody loves to see us go out and compete. And at the end of the day, we're all Pirates, and we're all working to count on one another to be that 12th man in the stands, or that extra player out there on the field by just being loud and bringing that. I was at my daughter's 8th grade scrimmage, and in walked a big group of guys that were just cheering and bringing that intensity, and that just brings the energy, just like we try to bring the energy on our sidelines. Our fan base, our student body brings energy every single time that they come to every sport that we have, and that's part of what makes Wheelersburg great.
You brought up being able to count on the community to be there, which kind of leads into your guys' motto for this year, Count on Me. Talk a little bit about what that's meant to the team, because I can remember all the way back in January, February, those posts coming out on Twitter and Instagram saying how this senior class is a class that you can count on to lead Wheelersburg's success.
Yeah, we talked. We always kind of work throughout the year, and as we develop and things start to kind of lay out on who we have on the team and where we're at in numbers and different guys, and it just became very evident that we've got a great set of seniors. Each and every one of them impact our team in a different way, but they bring a huge value to the jobs, to the roles that they have. But ultimately, there's only 11 of them, and we're going to count on so many other people to help make this season great. So we embodied that count on me idea that we've got to make sure that those younger guys understand when they step on there, they're ready to say, hey, you can count on me to do my job as the kickoff return guy, or the kickoff man, or the punt team, or the EP team, or the offensive guy that reps in on a certain package that we have, or the defensive guy that reps in on a certain package that we have. While my reps may be small in a given situation, you're going to get everything I've got on that given time to help make this season be the best that it can be. And we recognize as a senior class that we're going to have to count on those underclassmen. And at the same time, those underclassmen are looking towards those seniors and saying, hey, we want to count on you to lead us to where we need to be and to help us get to where we need to be. And it just goes hand in hand with one another in regards to how we approach the things that we're faced with. And when you go back to, again, 2020, there were so many things that we couldn't count on. We didn't know if we were going to have a season. We didn't know if this store was going to be open. We didn't know if we were going to be able to attend church services. We didn't know what was going, there were just a lot of things that we weren't sure what the normal schedule or routine would be there. So it also kind of fed into us this year saying, you know what, regardless of all the stuff that you're just not sure about that you can attend or go to, you can count on us to show up every day. You can count on us to give you everything we got. And you can count on us to go out and represent our community the best we can be. And that's kind of, what's driven us this whole off season and into this first week of the season.
Absolutely. So as we wind down here, if you have any words you'd like to give to the community before you go here, head out to Ironton, go ahead, this is your time.
Well, we're extremely excited to be playing tonight. We know that everybody will come out and support the orange and black, shaking those jugs, cheering loud. Our guys really feed off of that energy, and we're going to go out and give our best. You can count on us to give our best, and it's always a great battle and a great test. That we're ready for the challenge and ready to go out and excited to. So we're looking forward to it and kick off this season and looking forward to all the games, even as we return back to Ed Miller Stadium next week. Looking forward to everybody being out and supporting the Pirates. So go Burg.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
So now we have a special guest here with us today, Mr. Eaton. Welcome, as we're going to do a couple pick'em games, but before we do that, we're going to let you get your little 2 cents in on what's going to be going on at Ironton tonight with Wheelerford taking on Ironton. Considering we didn't get to play last year, game is a little more meaning, doesn't it?
Well, it always has meaning.
Yeah.
Whether we're playing tomorrow night or in June in a 7-on-7 or wherever, but it's going to be an electric atmosphere just because it's been an awful long time since fans are allowed to come and watch. My feelings are this: I think that the strength of the Ironton football team, from what I hear, is their bulk, their strength, their power, as far as just their overall strength as a team. And then on the Wheelersburg end, I think it's about getting kids in space and being athletic and using our speed to our advantage. So it's as simple as that. Who uses those things better? I mean, do they get 3 yards in a cloud of dust and we can't stop them on 4th and short? Or, I think, 3rd down is huge for our defense if we can keep them in, long distance 3rd down and kind of win that battle, number one. Win the turnover battle and then use our speed on offense and defense and special teams. But where I think we have the advantage overall, I think it's going to be pretty evenly, but I think our kicker, Mr. Braxton Salmons, a.k.a. Boomstick, I think he is the difference maker. I think he kicks a field goal that matters somewhere in the game. Wheelersburg, 28. Ironton, 24.
All right.
And maybe we kicked 9 field goals. I don't know, but I just think I think Braxton Sam's is a difference maker. I think our special teams is a difference maker.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't appreciate because it's not often that, because Wheelersburg, we've been pretty lucky, to say the least, to go from good kicker to good kicker.
We've got
to
a
good
lineage
kicker.
of good kickers.
Yeah, and Braxton's just another name in that lineage to go along with Jalen Miller, the Lewis brothers, just going all the way back. And we already got a couple of the next ones lined up, ready to go once Braxton graduates.
So I'm going to change my prediction, 24-21, because if he's got a kick and field goal, we got to have 24 points. So 24-21, Braxton Salmons kicks the field goal, we all run off, scream and shout, and Bus comes home happy. That's my prediction.
All right. So
Not a bad prediction. I like it.
obviously, me and David, we can't give our predictions because obviously we're going to be working that game tonight. So we're going to move on, and we're going to get a couple of games going on.
But you still pick Wheelersburg, right?
I mean,
Deep down, Wheelersburg's there.
yeah. So tonight we're going to pick a couple of games that are going on elsewhere in the SFC, as well as a couple other opponents that Wheelersburg will face this season. First game we got going on is going to be Oak Hill at Wellston. I'm going to start off with you. What's your pick for that one?
Rivalry game, right next door. Very, very similar to what we spoke about Ironton Wheelersburg. Oak Hill is keep it on the ground, try to short yards, get a first down. I'm going to go with Oak Hill. I think Oak Hill's program is solid. I think they usually have very strong, physically gifted kids. I'm going with Oak Hill.
For me, it's kind of hard to pick games like this because it's a rivalry game, week one. You don't really know what you're going to get until the product's on the field. So I feel like close game, but year to year, I feel like Oak Hill has that kind of game plan going in that we're just going to run it down your throat and you better be able to stop it or you're not going to beat us. So I'm going to go with Oak Hill as well.
I'm going to go with Oak Hill for the same reasons. When we played them a couple years ago, they just kept hammering away at our defensive line and with the run game, and I just think they're going to do the same to Wellston.
Our studio pick, well, they're going to go against us, and they'll be picking Wellston tonight. So our next game, another SSC school.
They can be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
We got, how about this? A playoff rematch between Pikett and Medford. Probably the craziest playoff game I've ever seen. The quarterback having, I think it was 600, 700 yards of offense by himself for Pikett. And they're going to be going back to Medford for that rematch. I'm picking Medford because it's kind of hard to pick against an SOC school considering we are one. But I feel like it's going to be another shootout game between those two.
Is the quarterback for Pikett back this year?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Then I'm going with Pikett. Because I know Medford's quarterback, he was fantastic last year. So, I'm going to go with Pikett just because I don't really know, other than if that quarterback's back, maybe he's special again.
I'll say this. My guy to watch for that game is Jeffrey Pikett. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but he's a guy that a lot of people have been talking to going into this offseason. He's going to get a lot of touches this year considering Widget, Vogelsong, Lewis are gone. I feel like he's going to be someone to come in that game and just absolutely scorch earth.
Now, I will say this, that Medford's younger group, just from being in junior high athletics, they're very strong. So I guarantee you there's some young kids from Medford that will have a chance to start and play tonight. But, they're younger. So, if it's a senior quarterback, I guess to me, Pikett should win because your leader is typically your quarterback. But I'm not to discredit Medford because I know they have a lot of talent.
Yeah, for Gavin's reasons, I'm going to go with Medford. Just we've seen them perform consistently well, and I just don't think they're about to stop.
I like it.
So next game we got Russell is heading to Boone County tonight, and a game I don't really know much about Boone County, but I do know enough about Russell to know they're never going to go into a game and just lay down for anyone. They're a team that's so scrappy and aggressive. There's no way I see Russell losing this game, so I think they're going to come away with a week one win.
Russell, check.
I don't know anything about either team, so I'm just going to go with Russell.
Next game we got is going to be Racelyn versus Ashland. We got to see a little bit of Racelyn last week going against Wheelersburg. They did struggle against Wheelersburg's defense, but it's a very good group out there. And Ashland, obviously, coming off a state championship for Kentucky, it's really hard to pick against the defending state champion week 1. So I'm going to go with Ashland, especially since they're at home.
Tomcats, big.
I've seen Ashland play before. They're a team that doesn't shy away from a challenge, and I think they're going to come with the win tonight.
Next one we got, it's going to be Tees Valley
Taze
Valley
Correct.
heading to Chillicothe. Again, another team. Chillicothe's got so many athletes on their offensive side of the ball. I feel like, if anything, they're just going to outscore Tees Valley. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Chillicothe.
Well, Taze Valley is a very large school, much larger than Chillicothe. That one will be closer than you think, but I'm going to go with Chillicothe in a close one.
I'll go Chillicothe as well.
And our final game that we're going to pick is going to be Miami Trace heading to Waverly. This, I believe, was Waverly's only non-conference game last year, and they did come away with a win. Waverly, the only team to beat Wheelersburg in the regular season last year, returning a lot of their juniors from last year, now seniors. I don't see Waverly losing their first game this year, especially at home. It's really hard to pick against the home team week 1, but you know everyone's raring to go week 1 of high school football.
So, interesting is Miami Trace has a ton of historical football accolades. I don't know if you know this or not, but Art Schleister is from Miami Trace, the famous Ohio State quarterback. They've had a rich tradition in football. However, not so fast, my friend. Waverly Tigers by 2 touchdowns and then sprinkling some subs at the end. I like the Waverly Tigers.
I like the Waverly Tigers as well. We've seen them play. We've seen them, last year they got the best of Wheelersburg, and I think they're still in that mindset to where they can beat Miami Trace.
And I think you're forgetting one game. West Fairland.
Yes, West and Fairland, they will be playing tomorrow night, not tonight, Friday night. They're a Saturday night game, and that one's going to be a pretty close one. Fairland, a strong OVC team. They came into a game against a tough Ironton team, and they actually put up a little bit of a fight, but then it kind of got out of hand as the game went on. And West is a team that had a lot of young guys last year, got their experience in, and now they're coming in with a lot of expectations this season. With West being at home, I feel like it's going to be West, but a lot closer than people think.
I'm interested to see what you think on this one.
What I think?
And then I'll chime in.
Well, we've seen West play before. We've seen, they tend to have a bit of a bigger line than most schools. I know a few people from West. They act like they have a good football team this year, and we've seen, the young guys and the potential they've had. And just going on that and the potential, I'm going to say West.
All right, so this one's a tough one, but my dad is actually in the Hall of Fame at Fairland. He's in the Sports Athletic Hall of Fame at Fairland. My dad grew up and graduated at Fairland. I have family from Fairland. My aunt was a teacher in Fairland. So I apologize to Coach Gilliland, his first game of his coaching career. I'll apologize up front. I know Fairland has more numbers than they normally did. They had a great playoff run last year. I will not be allowed to go to family dinners if I do not say that the Fairland Dragons will win a close one. I'll say a touchdown, Fairland.
All right.
There you go.
We had a couple games that went on last night. Jackson put a beat down on Logan last night. It wasn't really close, and that's kind of what we've expected from Jackson the last couple of years. Their program has really just continued to evolve as the years have gone on, and they've always been a quality football team.
I mean, honestly, Coach Hall does a fantastic job, and it's not a recent fantastic job. He's done a great job for a long time. So, that when we play them, that'll be a very, very difficult game, and that's always it's kind of a non-conference. I wouldn't quite put it to the level of Ironton, but it's awful close.
It's up. I mean, we've played them for years on years now, and Ironton and Jackson have kind of been the only two surviving non-conference teams that we've consistently played.
Well, if you win the game, regardless of what team you are, the playoff points are enormous.
Oh, yeah.
So you could really, if you beat Ironton Jackson, or Ironton beats Wheelersburg Jackson, or vice versa, you guaranteed you're going to make it to the playoffs because those teams are going to win 8 or 9 games. You just know.
Yeah.
The other game that went on last night, Portsmouth faced off against Valley. Portsmouth hosting that game.
That was a bit of an interesting game.
Yeah.
It was.
Valley was up 3-0 at halftime, and I don't know what happened in that Portsmouth locker room, but someone lit a fire in there, and they came out and scored 35 unanswered points and put the Indians to bed and won that game 35-3. A game that surprised a lot of people because Valley had a lot of good young talent last year, and I felt like this was going to be a year that they could really get over the hump and start making some noise.
Well, I mean, the Portsmouth program has obviously improved greatly over the last few years as well. So, I think there's a lot of games on that schedule that are going to start off like that. I think the West Fairland game, possibly the Ashton Racelyn game, the Taze Valley Chillicothe, Waverly, Miami Trace. I think a lot of those games are going to be very close at halftime. And then I think, with depth and athleticism, you're going to see that I think that's what happened in that game. Portsmouth has more depth, and they have a little bit more athletic ability, and eventually, they got their kids in space, and that was the difference in the ball game in the second half.
So that's going to wrap up our pick'em. Mr. Eaton, I appreciate you joining us. If you have the last message to the community of what to expect tonight from our boys and what they can do to help them out.
I think the most important thing that you can do is, show your pirate pride, wear that orange and black, boldly, and, go and support our kids, our cheerleaders, our band, who's tremendous as well, those folks that direct those different areas. Get there early, watch a great game, a little pirate victory, and on your way home you can get you some B-dubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Gates open at 5:30 at Ironton. Wheelersburg will be taking them on. Thank you for watching Pirates Game Day. Keep an eye out on our Facebook page. We're going to make sure we try and get a live stream link out there tonight for those who aren't able to make it. But we highly encourage you to get out there and watch Wheelersburg open up their season against Ironton. I've been Gavin Race.
I'm David Brown.
I'm Mr. Eaton. What's the live link, though? Where are we going to watch
You got to look out on My Town TV.
Okay,
that's
My Town TV. Good.
That's
and
where
do
you
I
can
get to
expect.
come back? Because I like this.
Yeah, we can have you back weekly for some
I like
pick'em
this.
games.
I like the pickups. All right, not so fast, my friend. Great job. And give these two, kind of a virtual round of applause because they do an amazing job. Been here all day working on stuff. So
Absolutely.
It's not like these guys come out here, video themselves for 3 minutes, and that's it. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. So extremely proud of these two. Go Burg.
Thank you for watching our first week of Burg Sports Game Day. We'll see you next week. Good luck to the boys tonight, and go Burg.